Hi everyone, it's Lisa again with a craft that you can make with items that you already have at home. Today we're going to try something a little bit different. We have painted books before, but today we're going to be making what I think are really cute, excuse me, flannel covered books. You can see this one's covered with flannel already. And let me give you a list of supplies that you're going to need for our craft today, and then we're going to get right to it. This is pretty easy. The first thing you're going to need are old discarded books. We have plenty of them here at the library, ones that are no longer of use in our circulation. And so I was able to get 3 of them for our activity today. Ideally, you only need one. I understand through the famous decorators that numbers of 3 are always best, so I'm going to do a third one and give it our number 3. We need books, as I said. We're going to need our hot glue gun. We're going to need flannel. Think about flannel shirts that you already have at home. I was able to use most of this one actually. I'm going to be using this piece again today. This is the bottom part of the shirt. You can see that I have just used the back. I'll hold that up a little bit for you. That's the back part of the shirt. We still have the sleeves, we have the buttons, we even have the pockets that we can add to these or use part of to embellish if we choose to. And again, this is one that I had, and you can see that I have used just the back of that. So we need our flannel shirt. I'm using skewers to help me smooth the glue out and hold it in place because it does get hot. And then I want to show you some alternate ways of binding them together or to keep them together. And just for fun, you may want some flower embellishments or some fall embellishments as well. So let's go ahead and get started. I do want to show you the examples that I have done though. I'm going to start with this one. You can see on the inside, this book is still very readable. All I have done is just finish that out with my glue gun, and it's very tight on there. It looks good from both ends, and I think these would be great on a mantle or even a buffet or some way of using it throughout the fall season. This one I left or glued a pocket on so that we could easily put a flower in there, especially if you're going to set them up this direction. That would be adorable. I'll use that word a lot, I know, but it would be very cute to tuck a little nosegay or a little flower in there. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with our procedure. The first thing you do, obviously, is to obtain your book, and then I'm going to, I believe this is actually the back of the shirt that I'm using. I must have used the front side on this one. But I'm going to lay that out. Now, you can iron these if you want to prior to cutting them apart, but I find that when you pull them tightly, that any of the wrinkles will disappear on you, so no problem there. And the first thing that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be, let me move my glue gun, is I'm going to be starting with the end of the book, the binding section of the book. And that way I can kind of look at it and know that I've got it on there correctly. But I do want to give myself plenty of space and enough allowance to actually pull that up along the edge here and hot glue that. So it looks like I've got a pretty good piece here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a strip or 2 of glue along this edge. And I'm going to find a nice straight line that I can line that up on. And I'm going to let that just cool for just a minute. And that way I can pull tightly from this side as well as tightly from this side, and I know it's not going to move around on me. Yeah, that's on there. So the second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up. I'll have to turn my book this direction. And with hot glue, I'm going to hot glue this side first. I'll actually turn that so you can see it just a little bit better. Just the end first. And I'm going to pull, actually I'm going to get rid of that extra seam allowance real quick. Just a quick cut before my glue gets. I'm pulling it and pulling it up. Pulling it up, I'm trying to match my pattern all the way up through here. I'll let my glue cool. Now I'll trim off the excess for this. And get that out of the way. Now that's a rough cut. I could take a rotary cutter and make a neater cut, but I really don't think anybody's going to be looking on the inside of your book. And when I close this, you can see that I've got a nice tight, because I did this on the end first, or on the binding, that I've got a nice tight fabric over the book. Let's do the other side. I'm going to go ahead and pre-trim that just a little bit. I'm giving myself plenty of extra seam allowance. It's easy to cut on these flannel checked shirts. Again, hot glue. And I'm pulling tightly. Now when I did this at home, I had a flat surface behind me that could hold my book in this direction. Actually, let's do this. There we go, that works perfect, and you can see it. Now I'm going to trim this up some. And how easy is that? Now let's get to the ends. I know I've got all this extra here. I want to get rid of that. So I'm going to go ahead and trim my seam allowance on both of the ends. I saved my fabric, so save that. You could easily use that for any of the number of holiday crafts that we've got coming up. I'm going to lean this up against me again. Now I need to work on my sides and my corner. So I'm going to go ahead. Oh, and I should have told you this. Right here, I'm going to trim just a little bit, not all the way down to the book. And that's going to allow me to fold that over. Now I've got this corner at the very end, and all I'm going to do is tuck that in so that I've got a nice finished edge when I see it from the end as it's put together, like this one. As you can see, I folded that down, kind of nice, neat corner. And we'll get our hot glue ready. Actually, I'm going to trim just a little bit of that off before I make my corner. There we go. Now I'm putting a little bit of glue to hold that down, and then I'm gluing again because that's going to be a little loose. And here's where I'm going to be using my skewers to help me hold that down. There's my first corner. Let me turn this so I can get to my glue gun. It's kind of an odd way to do it. My glue gun is not working with me today. Okay, before I do that, whoops, I forgot. I need to cut right here at my seam. That way it bends over and tacks in place a little bit more easily. We're going to trim that up a bit. And here again, I'm left with my corner. So I'm going to tuck that in. I'm going to put just a dot of hot glue here to help me. And then we are making that corner. I love this time of the year. We're getting into fall. I love all the crafts, the colors, the seasonal activities that go on. I hope we can have those seasonal activities this year. Okay, there's our one side. Looks good, nice and even. Let's work on the other side real quickly. I need to trim, or excuse me, cut close to my book right there at the binding. I'll hold this up against me again. The good thing about using this flannel with the checks, you can line up pretty easily and determine if your fabric is straight on your book. Okay, let's work on that corner. I think I'm only going to need to glue once here. A third colored flannel would have looked great with this, but I didn't have a third color. So I'm going to put this one on the bottom, the odd plaid, and then this one that matches on top. And I'm going to group those in threes. We got that corner done. The good thing also about flannel is this is, of course, seasonal, but this could be left out until spring. You could do a really cute ensemble of different types of cozy. I think the flannel's cozy, but you could use several little items and keep those out throughout the winter up until spring. It's an excess. I'm just going to trim that off. It's a little bit too much to have to glue. Now I'm going to trim this up just a little bit more. And again, not perfect as far as the inside is concerned, but on the outside, I think we're going to be pleased with what we see. And there you go. Now let's get to the ends. On the end, we have this little flap. And I'm going to cut that till it's just about a 1/2 inch. Cut that much of it off. I'm going to put a strip of glue right here on your binding. I'm going to take my skewer and just push that down. And it will look great from the end because you're not going to be able to tell what we did. Now there is a bead of glue there, but that will dry. But ideally, that's covered on the end there. It's a really good coverage. Excuse me. Put our bead of glue. And again, take your skewer, toothpick, whatever you can. And there we go. And again, you'll see that bead of glue that's on there, but that will dry. Now we have just flannel covered our book. It looks pretty good. I think we're pleased with that. Now, when we talk again about decorating, I guess with these, they say 3 again is your key number to remember when you're grouping items. So I would probably put this stacked together just like this. I would put the one we just finished. I really love this. So, you know, next time I may use the rest of this flannel shirt for another one. And this one, and as I said, you can just stack them just as they are. You can also embellish them just a little bit more if you would like. I want to show you some things that I found that I had at home. I found this rope belt that has this unusual, I guess it's not unusual, but it has this buckle at the very end. But if I didn't have my pocket on there, what a great way to display these. And there you go, really cute. You could cut this. I would use a lighter or a flame to sear it on the very end so that it doesn't ravel and that you do have a finished edge. On top of that, you could use anything. My mother-in-law gave me these adorable burlap sunflowers. So one of those could be placed on there as well. Now, if you, like me, or like others I should say, and you may not have this rope belt, or you may not like the look of that rope belt, then think about putting them together with just burlap. Another ribbon. You could use a lot of things there as well. If you choose to stack them this direction next to each other, again, think about what you could put in that pocket to add some embellishment as well. I'm going to try to get one of those flowers off of here. I really like this maroon sunflower. So let's see if we can't get that off of there and get it tucked in there so you can see what that's going to look like. And there you go. How cute would that be for the fall? Put some winter flowers in it. So you could leave this in literally through until spring arrives. I hope you'll think about what you have at home. I always say that, but think about what you have at home. Books that you haven't read in forever. We have so many people that still own a set of encyclopedias. Those would be a great way of upcycling those as well. You can buy the books at places like the Dollar Tree, and it would cost you $1 for a book. And again, think about what you have in your closet. I know there's some flannel somewhere, whether it be some pajama bottoms or a flannel shirt that you could use and upcycle into this fun creative craft. I hope you'll try this. If you do, please post to our Facebook page and we will definitely share it. Keep crafting.